Today is Monday, May 23rd. It's roughly 2 p.m. First order of business on our agenda is consideration of the minutes from the April 25th, 2022 meeting. Consider a motion to approve those if there's no additions or corrections needed.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for April 22nd, 2022.
Thank you. Second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. Next item of business is we have a application for a CP&C for Showtime Transportation LLC. Is Officer Pitts with us today?
He's out sick.
I don't think so. Okay, Officer Pitts is out sick, but however, he did forward us the application information, and I believe the applicant has met all the requirements for the CP&C. Is Mr. Drama here? Come on up to the podium here and tell us a little bit about what you're doing. Good afternoon.
Transportation, some stuff. Sure, that's
Yeah,
yeah.
there you go.
Can you hear me?
I think so. We were also broadcasting on social media, so sometimes even though we can hear you, the people who are watching the live stream may not be able to. So yeah, if you would just please talk into the microphone.
Hello?
Yeah, we're good.
Better? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I decided to start my own transportation business. It's called Showtime, so I believe I'll be putting.
Awesome. How many vehicles are you going to have?
Right now, it's just one for right now.
Okay. All right. But you've been in the business for quite a while.
Well, I've been in the hospitality business for almost 18 years.
Okay.
But since I've been down here,
Okay, awesome. Well, Councilor Tate, did you have any questions?
I have no questions. I like the idea of having executive services, especially when I travel a lot.
Yeah. So, so you're going to be your business is going to your business office at least is going to be located downtown.
yes, sir.
That's right. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for coming, and thank you for doing business in the city of Birmingham. We have a motion to forward
I
this.
make a motion that we advance this item to the council agenda for a vote.
All right. Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And so this will be, so the Transportation Committee has now recommended it to the full council, so your permit will be on the full council agenda within the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, next up on our agenda, we have Ms. Christina Argo from our Birmingham Department of Transportation to give us an update on the Birmingham On Demand powered by VIA project.
All right, good afternoon. Christina Argo, Department of Transportation. You all hear me okay? Okay.
Yep.
Do you guys, are we going to pull up the presentation or just go through it?
To be able to put
Okay.
Yeah, so there we go.
Perfect. So we are looking at the service year from May 2021 to May 21st, 2022. Still have a about 10 more days of service here for 22 of May, but we're looking basically at the last year of reporting. So if we go to the next slide, we can see that we've had over 65,000 requests made for rides, over 52,000 completed rides, an average ETA of 10 minutes, which is excellent, a rating from riders of 4.9 out of 5, and over 2,000 new accounts actually in the last year created. Impressive numbers. If we look to the next slide, here are some key improvements and investments that we have implemented in Q1. So we have a new local rep here with VIA. Bert Lancaster has joined the team. We have introduced a new brand new vehicles. They also have a new brand refresh wrap on them. I don't know if you guys have seen them around town, but they're dynamic looking. We have done a marketing campaign to help engage dormant riders from We've also done some marketing with our city's public information office to raise awareness about the program and to share some of the numbers that we were seeing. Also conducted a survey to understand riders' needs. So we've done a bunch of outreach this first quarter. Go to the next slide. This is pretty phenomenal as well. Requests for service have increased by 63%, and completed rides have increased by 67% in the last 12 months. May looks a little bit low, but as I mentioned before, we'll probably add at least another 1,000 to that total there because we're just shy of the end of the month. But you can see that compared to last May, we're up. Next slide. So an 83% increase in monthly active users last year, and this past quarter was our busiest. So in April we saw 511 active monthly users, and we're averaging about 20% new users every month. And May is projected to be another record month for active users. Slide. So I think this is a really important service is largely being used for economic services by those who need it the most. So if we look at this chart here that breaks down users by household income, we're going to see that 44% of our riders have a reported household income of under $25,000 a year. And then if you look at the next category, 25 to 50,000 is at 28%. So 7 in 10 riders have an annual household income below $50,000, which I think is showing that we are reaching the users and riders, those who need access to transportation, have a lower household income. And then the other interesting fact is that 50% of riders are using service to commute to work. So if we look at next steps, I'm working with the team to prepare for the World Games. So I think we've all learned about the security challenges and that we're going to have during the games, and so they have programmed in their system the security parameters so they know where the vans can and can't go. So they'll have probably some pickup and drop-off points identified on where we can get people. We are going to mimic the time frames that we will have transit service during that time. So typically, or right now our service stops at 9 p.m., but we're going to extend that to 11 p.m. because that's what we're doing with other transit services during the day. That'll be available for folks who are trying to get home from late night events. We're also going to be communicating with our users about these changes and our drivers and communication to them about what's going to be going on, and there will be some notifications in the app to users. We're also recruiting drivers. It's an ongoing thing, but right now we're doing great in that regard. We are seeing in the industry itself that there's it's kind of a tough market to find drivers, but VS staffed and doing well in that regard. And we're also going to look at supply optimization. So with growing ridership, we want to continue to keep looking at the schedule and match that evolving and growing demand. Increases in our 10-minute ETA time. And then we'll do another survey. So typically we do a couple surveys a year. So so this one will probably go out sometime this summer, probably after the World Games is what You guys have questions?
Yeah. So the World Games,
Yes.
great to hear about the extended hours. The World Games span across a couple of weekends. And my understanding is that we're not offering Sunday service currently. So it's Monday through Saturday currently with...
I need to look at that because we are going to be able to offer, thank you for bringing that up, we are going to be offering Sunday service with it and the shuttle or the transit line that we just announced this morning. There will be Sunday service. So we need to look at that and see how we could help support that if possible.
Okay. All right. So on the household income thing, I think that is fantastic. I can reinforce that anecdotally just by saying that it wasn't too long ago that I got a call from a constituent in Smithfield Court who was just, raving about Birmingham On Demand and how convenient it was for her. And she, wanted to know how she could help, in some capacity. And I'm like, just please continue to use
Writing.
it.
Yeah, keep writing.
So, but, dare say we don't get a lot of those types of calls. So to hear from, a constituent who's, just overjoyed with a service that the city of Birmingham is helping to provide is, just really kind of reinforces for me that it's, something that's doing a lot of good. The thing that I do kind of see in all of these statistics, though, is that it's increasingly becoming more and more popular, which the way that we pay for the service is kind of based on the number of rides, and just in the context of having the mayor present his proposed budget last Tuesday, there is a proposal to increase the amount of funding for Birmingham On Demand. However, I am curious as to whether or not what's been proposed in the budget for fiscal year 23 and meets what the projections that are shown in this data actually show. I have to admit that I had a constituent reach out to me over the weekend that, in that conversation indicated to me that if ridership continues to increase, that the projected allocation may not cover where ridership is going, even with the current service area. And so, you know, the conversation between the mayor's office and the council has been largely along the lines that, hey, this is a great program. People love it. You know, can we talk about expanding the footprint? So what I'm saying is that, you know, there's been clear agreement between the mayor's office and the council that we like the program, we would like to see it expanded. However, you know, there's increasing ridership, so, you know, maybe we need to factor in what the projections on ridership are with the funding amount that's been proposed, and make those two agree for the current service area, but then also kind of reaching beyond that to consider, you know, how do we make an expansion happen, and what does that, you know, expansion look like? Y'all follow me on that?
So I just want to just give a little further clarity to why we put that amount in the budget. If you recall, the council approved $1.4999 million back in April for VIA. That was to continue the service to, I think we said, to at least November, or maybe it can almost extend longer. And then the money that we have allocated in this potential coming up budget is supposed to supplement the remaining amount for that fiscal year and the potential of expanding the footprint. So don't look at the money that's in the proposed budget. That's for the whole 12 months. We already have a contract that's in place that's already been approved that'll help us supplement costs until we have to actually tap into those funds.
Okay.
And
Great.
To jump in on that is, you know, expansion of the service is going to involve coordination with the BJCTA. So you know, we all know they have a new leader over there. So Charlotte Shaw doing a great job. They've been working really hard on how they can partner with us and support the city's efforts during the World Games. And then there's that thing called the BRT that is happening as well. So there's a lot of things that they have been working towards for the next few months. And then after the dust settles and all that, our plan is, how does BJC service look after the BRT has launched, and coordinating our Birmingham On Demand system with that new expanded and revamped service. So that is the very next step. And I think that what we'll see is it's going to be a data-driven approach, and we'll see some refinement of what we're offering now, but in all practical terms, it will be an expansion. We're not quite sure what that will look like right now. But we certainly will. I think I mentioned at the last meeting, we'll come back to you. I'm thinking it's going to be late summer, early fall. We'll come back to you guys with a plan.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chaz, for reminding me about that. Just, you know, while we're talking about that, I mean, we've kind of, this is an exaggeration, but we've almost been kind of month to month with VIA for the last, you know, couple of years. Seems like every 6 months we're doing a contract extension. And, you know, personally, I would like to see us, you know, get to a place where there's more stability in the relationship. You know, so perhaps with all of the funding and the proposed funding that's been allocated, we can, you know, at least get to an annual time points, you know. Certainly, you know, we want to stay on top of the data and the ridership and know how things are going. But I think just from the standpoint of the relationship with the vendor, you know, I would think that that would be a good thing for us to at least be on a annual contract renewal cycle versus, every 6 months or so.
Yeah, we agree with you, and I know it's kind of frustrating to see the different type of amendments that become before the council. So I'm in agreement with you. I take it back to the mayor to have more of a long-term solution, especially with the agreement. I agree. And
I'll just acknowledge that there are a lot of moving parts over the last year with BRT and BJCTA change in leadership, and them, the current team over there trying to get their feet on the ground, and us, trying to figure out exactly how to manage transportation for the World Games and just a lot of other things. So I acknowledge that those are all important variables that are kind of contributing to the situation, but as long as we're moving in the right direction, acknowledging that we probably have to get past July 17th to get on a more stable track and get ready for the World Police and Fire Games in 2025.
That's right.
So, all right. Any questions, Councilor Tate?
No, I think you touched on everything, but my mind just goes back to Tuesday when the constituent came down and expounded on, Sunday services, transportation in the city, saying that a lot of people, did have services like when they wanted to attend church or whatever. So I would definitely like to see something like that, happening, and just don't make people think that we are. Because I've heard talk like Councilor Quinn say, everybody think that, the city is really just doing a lot for the World Games and seems to think that a lot of this stuff is going to go away, but I don't think that's the case. But yes, so basically, Councilor Quinn really touched on a lot of things that I wanted to ask, and and beyond that, what does Sunday services look like with transportation in Birmingham?
Right. I think that's important. Thank you for bringing that up again, even with regard to just our fixed route service. Maybe we don't necessarily have to have fixed route per se on Sunday, but some sort of public transit option available on Sunday is, I think, something that a lot of people, in the city could take advantage of if it was available.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
We got you.
All right, thank you. Next up on our agenda, we have Mr. David Russell with the Birmingham Jefferson County Port Authority.
Good evening, everybody. David Russell with the Birmingham Jefferson County Port Authority. I have Bakari Miller here with me from Economic Development Partnership of Alabama. All right, go on my slides. I think last time I was before you all, I was talking about the economic value or the economic input that the port is having on the city of Birmingham. And those results are in. We worked with Dr. Kevin Daravi. He's one of the state's leading economists. And that's the port's currently economic impact is $128 million. The payroll economic impact is $86 million, and it's creating an additional little under 1,500 jobs. And his study showed that, his evaluation showed that for every $1 that you put into the port, it's going to create additional $4. Now, the port's current state is currently importing and exporting 2.2 million tons, but that's pretty much raw materials. That's a little under 1,500 barges. So it's removing about 87,000 semi-trucks from the roads on a daily basis, on an annual basis. And it's creating 147 additional jobs, which just have a payroll about $8 million. So those jobs for what it's creating, so those 147 jobs create an additional 1,500 jobs, which is about $56,000 a year, and the jobs at the port average about $52,000 a year. And our main priorities are supporting the, sorry, next slide. Next, come on. One more slide. Our main priorities are supporting the terminal operators, workforce development, port-related resources, and supporting the region's competitiveness. And we're going to go a little bit more into that building on the right-hand corner later in the presentation. Next slide, please. It's pretty much showing you just our logistical relationship with the city. We're not far from the main points of interstates, as well as 27 miles from the Birmingham Airport, which is invested in air cargo shipping. Next slide, please. And so this past Friday, we just did our port post-COVID supply chain study, really trying to identify how our region can be more competitive on supply chain and strategic standpoint. And so supply chain has been disrupted, and whoever figures it out, that's going to benefit the most. Hopefully, we're going to be the ones that bring those issues and those relationships and those problems back to the city and say, this is how we're going to resolve these problems. Because we're located, Birmingham's located strategically. 35% of the country can be reached in one day from Birmingham, and 6% by rail. Next slide, please. Just showing the rail connectivity. All the rail infrastructure throughout Jefferson County is connected to the port. And those circles are pretty much showing the unemployment rate around those areas. So the Birmingham Jefferson County Port Authority met with EDPA to try to figure out what should be the niche, what should we really focus on. And what came out of that meeting was just really trying to focus on sites around the rail because of this reason, because of the unemployment rate. And there's a lot of vacant sites that can support the port and increasing their tonnage. Workforce development, bringing in different revenue and different resources from the federal government and the state that's port related, and really doing revitalization for the community. Next slide, please. And this pretty much shows that's the connectivity of the rail. Not only does it stop at the port, as you can tell, 3 of the main ports is on the West Coast. Los Angeles receives 37% of the country's imports and about another 35% of the country's exports. So understanding that we have a rail that's connected directly from Los Angeles, so you can ship a box from LA to Inslee, from Inslee to all the way up to New York. That shows how strategic and how rare our opportunity is to really develop sites around the rail. Next slide, please. So why would suppliers and other customers want to relocate to Birmingham or expand in Birmingham? Because especially on the automotive side, we're really making our name in that industry. 13 automotive suppliers can be reached from Birmingham within one day, and 7 within the state have generated additional 165 suppliers. Next slide, please. So out of those 7, 3 of those auto manufacturers are responsible for recruiting and allowing suppliers to expand their facilities in Alabama, and we could definitely do this in the Birmingham region, the metro area. Next slide, please. So the first thing we got is finalizing our warehouse project. Should be done hopefully within the next couple of months. Then we'll start construction. But one thing that's going to do for us is going to increase the tonnage along the waterway by 36,000, which is huge because it's going to allow the Corps of Engineers to allocate more funding for maintenance along the Locust Fork and the Black Warrior River. But it's also going to remove an additional 1,600 semi-trucks off the road. Next slide, please. And this is really going to be our sweet spot. Really working with EDPA and trying to help. They're going to help advertise sites. So this is one site that was on the city's condemned list not too long ago. I'm not sure it's still on it, but it's a prime location. 26 acres, access to rail, has access to the spur. As you can tell, it's right in front of a community, so it's a dilapidated structure. There was a lot of complaints being called about this building, but the Port Authority can get an asset like this, well, a liability like this, and turn it to an asset. This is where the EDPA, Bakari is going to speak on what it would do for them having this site to advertise.
Thank you, David. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Bakari Miller. I'm Vice President of Business Development with the Economic Development Partnership of Alabama. If you're not familiar with that organization, we are a private, nonprofit economic development organization. We're headquartered here in Birmingham at the old Merita Bread building. It's right across the street from Regents Field. But we support economic development all over the state, and obviously with the Port Authority being one of our important partners and being able to help them. But just to give you an overview of EDPA, we have 5 pillars that we work on, whether it's in lead generation, which is my area, innovation and entrepreneurship, talent and retention, business intelligence, which is the area I really want to concentrate on today, as well as policy. In the business intelligence area, we actually have a site, a public site, where we advertise sites and buildings all over the state of Alabama. And we do it in support of our economic development partners, whether that's here in Birmingham, Huntsville, Mobile, all over the state. And so essentially, they're able to advertise their sites. We don't charge for that because it's in support of economic development. But organizations like the Port, Birmingham Port, would be able to advertise their site. It's a site where individuals all over the world come to see what sites are in Alabama, and what essentially happens from them looking on the sites. We can actually see who's come to the site to look, and we can therefore be able to leverage our relationships to be able to contact them and ask more questions about why they're interested in the site, why they came to the site, and ultimately help to be able to land a project or an announcement in the state. Just some high-level statistics. Right now, we have 95,000 acres of land ready for development, 150 sites with rail access, 33.5 million square feet of industrial and office space, and 12 speculative buildings. This is all over the state of Alabama. Right now, we have about 134 sites and buildings on our website, which actually is pretty low for us. Part of that is, again, businesses coming in and wanting to take advantage of the sites and buildings that we have. But out of that 834, it's 317 buildings, which is about 150 less than we normally have, and then 517 sites. So, and again, site that could be a brownfield or greenfield ready for development. One more thing I wanted to harp on before I sit down or answer any questions that you all may have is also we have an Advantage Site program where we help organizations like the Port and other economic development organizations throughout the state to help develop their land, and not necessarily providing them resources from the standpoint of financial resources, but also help them to be able to understand, okay, this is what you need to kind of be looking for. These are the preparations you need to have to be able to know, what these companies want to be able to potentially place their business here. And so we work with those entities and let them know what they need, and then in that manner help advertise the site to be an advantage site where a company knows that certain parameters have been met for this site, whether it's power, water, any kind of utilities that need to be at that site, so they can have a better idea and an understanding of if their operations would be sufficient in that area. So again, we're happy to work with David and his team in the Birmingham Port to work with them to help, again, pull sites here or pull projects here, and hopefully have more announcements in this area. And we just want to, again, continue to be a partner with them, and I look forward to answering any questions that you all may have.
Back to the slides.
This pretty much just shows all the countries that the port supports with their importing and exporting. So it's not just a Birmingham thing, not just a Birmingham metro area thing. The port is more so international. And bringing in a site like the previous ones, a lot around the city, we would definitely like to continue to work with EDPA and trying to advertise those sites to kind of make the Birmingham metro area more competitive, and just Alabama, so we can start competing with our neighboring states, the Georgias, Floridas, and Tennessee. So that concludes my presentation. Is there any questions for me?
Yeah, I want to acknowledge Mayor Woodfin. He just walked in the room. All right. So the port in Councilor Tate's district, I want to put that out front. So the port, is largely set up to handle commodities, so bulk items like, raw coal, and I think, in terms of manufactured products, you guys have added capacity to do steel coils. In order to support things like the automotive suppliers, a lot of those products are dependent on manufactured materials that are, made elsewhere and imported. And I would think that would, in order to capture that portion of the the Port Authority would need to add capacity to handle containers. So can you speak to, what the plans are in that regard? I mean, is that part of your strategic planning?
Most definitely. So the post-COVID supply chain study will help identify the opportunities that we can to kind of help expound on that. In the last 5 years, we have, we have a new ingredients that we didn't have. So now the Port of Mobile, they're shipping to and from, exporting and importing directly from China, which is huge. We have Walmart Import Facility, which is a facility that distributes to distribution centers and not stores, and they operate in mainly containerized freight. So having those two organizations here in Alabama now allow us to make a better argument on why we should look towards containerizing the port and trying to see what investment it will take and what will be the justification behind it and what will be the output from it. And that's one of the topics that came up at our post-COVID kickoff.
So does the Port Authority currently have capacity to offload containers directly onto rail cars?
As at the moment, not right now, because they have to do some upgrades on the infrastructure. But if the investment, the return on investment is there, they'll definitely make the transition.
Yeah, the reason I asked that question is because if you had that capacity, then you have the capability of connecting directly to a lot of different industrial sites. Namely Inslee Works that we've brought up in discussion a bunch of times, and there's a lot of acreage there that could potentially serve to stage containers in particular and make them available for truck transport to their final destination, which I know it's also one of the challenges with the port is that the surface transportation, in terms of trucking, it's not, there's not a great deal of capacity in terms of the highway that services the port is with regard to trucking. So being able to offload containers directly onto rail car and then get those rail cars, to an area where you could, inventory a lot of containers would be sort of a good setup, I would think. But in any case, I'm very happy to see the EDPA here and supporting the Port Authority. I think that says volumes that you guys are engaged and see the capability that the port has. So probably going to need to get some enlarged graphics because some of the data that you guys have provided on the slides is not legible to my almost 50-something years old eyes. So I do want to take note of the fact, and this is also in Councilor Tate's district, that one of the locations that you guys have highlighted here is Finley Boulevard, which is, I think, has the BNSF rail yard. But you've highlighted the Finley Roundhouse on here too, which that's a historic structure for the city that's currently been neglected. But amongst the rail community, it's something that a lot of people would love to see reactivated, if that's even a possibility. But anyway. That jumped out at me.
Yes, sir.
So, Councilor Tate?
You pretty much hit on, it is in District 9, so you really have a great opportunity to really make some, great impact with this project. I'm very familiar with ports, working in Florida, and people that I, supervised had jobs, in areas and tweet cards, and they were well-paying jobs. So even to see the amount of money that one can yield, and then as you stated, it would be an economic boomer, economic growth, housing, just an array of things can happen with a project like this. We don't have grocery stores, so something like this can really drive the economy and get these services that people need. So I truly would be a major supporter for a project like this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. How are you guys with the mayor's proposed budget? Put you on the spot.
Yeah, we're in there for $125,000, and it's kind of. I mean, if that's what we're going to get, we just got to rearrange what we can and get done with $125,000. So.
Okay. All right. Well, please don't hesitate to, reach out to the council, because we're actively in those discussions now that the proposed budget is out there. And if you have concerns, then the council needs to know what questions to ask and follow up to be able to advocate on your behalf. The other thing I want to point out is that you have this map here showing Jefferson County's rail connectivity, and this shows, how much industry there is in the corridor between Bessemer, Fairfield, Midfield, Hueytown, Pleasant Grove, and North Birmingham, and I just named all of the parts of the city that are in economic distress. So in particular, the Fairfield, Midfield, Hueytown, Pleasant Grove, that area in particular, from the EDPA's perspective, getting the Port Authority up and running and reaching its potential would be a huge win for those communities in particular. I mean, Birmingham wants it to be successful, but for those municipalities in particular, it would be a life changer for them, because of, they've, of course, I don't, need to tell anybody how much decline that they've experienced over the last few decades. That's, another case for doing this. I mean, the entire state would benefit, but at the ground level, for those cities that have been struggling mightily in recent years, it could be a huge win for them as well. Well, thank you for bringing this information to us. Again, thank you for Mr. Miller for coming and demonstrating your involvement and showing EDPA's support. Again, I think that's huge and says a lot. And we look forward to additional conversations with you guys.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
All right. That brings us to new and old business. Oh, I did want to follow up and mention that at our last meeting, we discussed Z-Trip's proposal to implement a temporary $1 surcharge. The city attorney's office asked that I submit a form to them to get that discussion going. I did that, and from what I understand, that's in progress. Don't currently have an update, but just wanted to confirm that I did submit that, and so they have it. So anything else that we need to discuss? All right, if not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second the motion.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.